Good evening and welcome, everybody. My name is Kelly Rembert, and I'm the Outreach Librarian here at the Southfield Public Library. So I'm so thankful you're joining us for stress and anxiety relief. And this is a topic that I am interested in, not only, to share with the community, but for me personally, as I'm sure everybody here is. We can all use those tips and tricks. And so I'm so happy to introduce tonight's presenters. We have Teri Giannetti. Did I pronounce that right, Teri?
Giannetti, you got it. It's Teri.
Okay. All right. And Teri has been a teacher, a principal, and consultant at schools in the United States and in the Middle East. So we're excited to have her. And Judy Jubas has been a teacher at all levels and all different types of school, from elementary through college, private, parochial, public. So we have two wonderful presenters here with us tonight. And I know if you guys, you're great teachers, so you're going to teach us tonight. And I also know teaching is one of the most stressful positions there is out there. So I give you guys both credit and kudos. And I look forward to the presentation. So it's my pleasure to now turn it over. And I'm going to admit the next person, and just a couple housekeeping things quick. Teri and Judy have mentioned, if you feel comfortable, please put your camera on. It's not a requirement, but they like to see people's faces. And I will be monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to put it in there. If you don't want to unmute yourself, and then I'm happy to relay those questions on. So now it is my pleasure to turn it over to Judy and Teri. Thank you.
You. So hi everybody and welcome. I'm Judy and I will be presenting today with my partner Teri Giannetti, and we'd like to thank you all for joining us. We know that your time is valuable and we are eager to share our presentation with each of you. And we would like to also thank Kelly, the Southfield Library Outreach Librarian, and the Friends of Southfield Library for collaborating with us in setting up this evening's program on anxiety relief, because it's something that all of us can use. And we hope to present balance and self-care from numerous perspectives and provide you with some tools and keys. So let's begin. So this is a fabulous quote that we found. Yesterday I was sad. Today I am happy. Yesterday I had a problem. Today I have the same problem, but today I changed how I looked at it. That last line makes all the difference, looking from a different perspective. So our goal is to look at our stress and anxiety issues in a new way. And that's what we hope to accomplish this evening. So let me start by asking you all, and feel free, I forgot to mention, because it's a 1 hour presentation, we're not going to do like breakout rooms and lots of, or as much group engagement as we usually like to do, but we would encourage you to use the chat and to feel free to unmute when you want to share or have a question to ask us. And we will also allow time for questions at the end. So let me go back to the slide and ask you this. Have you ever felt this way, where the stress, the problems, the fears, the worry, the responsibility, it's a lot of weight? And it's a lot of tension to be carrying around. So many of us can have this feeling of being off balance. And each of these stressors could relate to your home life or your work life or both, truthfully. Right, yes. So the question is, how common is stress? Well, more than 3/4 of adults report symptoms of stress, including headache, tiredness, or sleeping problems. I would even say or sleeping problems. 80% of US workers say they experience stress on the job. And nearly half of all of US adults say that stress has negatively affected their behavior. So this tells us that stress is extremely prevalent and that you are not alone in your feeling stress. Stress does not lead to desired behaviors. And the truth is, none of us really want to feel this way. So I just want to show you one more slide that has to do with statistics, stress statistics in America. The other one was just about stress in general. This is stress specifically in America. Nearly 1 in 5 American adults say that their mental health has declined since last year. According to the American Psychological Association, US adults surveyed in 2020 reported that increased stress has negatively affected their behavior, increased tension in their bodies, caused them to snap out of anger, and caused unexpected mood swings. We're going to discuss how to deal with those throughout tonight's program. 65% of Americans surveyed said that the current uncertainty in the nation causes them stress. So we see that stress is a nationwide issue. So we're going to learn how to release those negative emotions in the face of inevitable stress, because it's just, stress is going to be there. It's a part of our life. The way we deal with it is our choice. And if we choose the right manners, we use the right techniques, we could alleviate some of those feelings. So we're going to provide you with what we call keys to success. We're going to give you a whole keychain full of different keys. You could pick which keys work best for you. And if you want, you could jot some notes down if you have pen and paper near you. This presentation is also recorded, so you will be able to go later back to the website and look up anything that you want to review. So the keys to success, we want you to know that it's okay to feel that sometimes it seems hopeless. At times you may wonder, why does it have to be so hard?
It was a good day.
Why doesn't anyone understand? I'm so frustrated with trying. I feel like I've lost my true essence. I'm tired of being the strong one. So the thing to remember is that nothing works all the time or in every situation. But if you don't give up and you keep searching, that is valuable. That's what we're trying to convey. Keep searching for the right key, the one that will work for you.
Okay, one of the things that we always say in education is you have to define something. So what is anxiety? What is stress? In future workshops that Judy and I will be involved in, we will talk more about the difference between stress and anxiety. But for tonight, and in the interest of time, we're going to use both those words interchangeably. Anxiety, the definition, it's an emotion characterized by feelings of tension, worried thoughts, and physical changes that actually happen in our body. I'm sure many of us have learned that when we're upset, the blood pressure goes up, different things happen in your body, and those are some of the physical changes that happen because of the emotions. There's nothing wrong with our emotions, is again what we do with them. Now, when the thoughts become intrusive, or we avoid going to certain situations, going into, we have anxiety when there's a large group, and if there's a special dinner party and we make an excuse to stay home because we're too anxious, that's when it becomes something that anxiety becomes something that we really need to look at and see if we can find a key, not to eliminate it, because we never will do that, but to at least have some control so that the physical symptoms don't overtake us and make us sick. Anxiety is helpful. It's a normal reaction to make sure that we know when a danger is close and that we should act. It's like an internal alarm system. It's like an alarm clock telling us, there's something's wrong here. We need to do something. So it is here to protect us in the face of real danger. It's how we look at anxiety. If it's constantly overwhelming us, that's when we need to look at the keys. It's a concern when it goes off even if there's no immediate danger. When it happens a lot, when we feel that so intense, It's upsetting that it's affecting your home life and your work life and causing you lots of distress. And it also stops you from having some fun. When you're trying to do something at work or go for a job interview or just do something socially with people, if it stops you, the anxiety, that's when we need to look at what can we do? Well, one thing that we do is we try to help somebody when somebody is anxious, and we say things to them. And a friend, your child, a spouse at work, we try to fix it. And so we say things like, don't sweat the small stuff, calm down, or just do it. Everything's going to be fine. I'm stressed out too. Well, you know what? Those statements don't help. Just think in your mind what you say to someone close to you in your home. You're trying to help them. You don't want them to be anxious, but that is not the way to help them by discounting how they feel, because the bottom line is when you're anxious, you're anxious. So in the chat, if you would like, or to unmute yourself, what are some things that people have said to you or you have said in the interest of helping somebody else, but it actually has stopped the communication? Somebody jump in, unmute yourself, or put something in the chat. You must have been told other than just don't sweat the small stuff, calm down. Judy and I hate when somebody says, calm down. Well, I'm upset. I don't want to calm down right now. Anybody want to jump in? Come on, don't be shy. It's the beginning. All right, I'll give you some time, maybe later in the session. Give you 3 minutes. Oh, good.
Hi.
Hi,
Some people
thank
say
you.
it is what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
I get
Mhm.
Yeah.
I hate that statement. You know, I don't feel good. I'm anxious. Good, thank you. Anybody else?
It's not that bad, is it?
Oh, yes.
That's a good one.
Yes, they discount your feelings. Yes.
Well, they quote the Bible verse, be anxious for nothing.
Yeah.
Hmm. But when you're anxious, you're anxious. Keep going. This is great. Okay, you'll find that Judy and I give people wait time because you need time to think. So there's another skill for you to do with your family members or your friends. Give them time, wait time. You should count to at least, the research says you should wait 30 seconds. There's no way I'm going to wait 30 seconds. I can't shut up that much, but I count to 5 and I at least give people at least 5 seconds, especially in school when teachers say,
Yes.
are there any questions? Okay, moving right along. Wait a minute. What about the introvert who can't? So always give your child and people near you some wait time. So there's another key. Okay, let's go to one of our favorite videos. I'm not going to show it to you tonight. In the interest of time, Judy and I have decided that we'll put it in the chat. You can copy the link. It is one of the best learning videos about the brain that we have found. It is for kids. It's more for young adults, high school and college. However, I don't know about you. We study the brain because educators should study the brain. That's what we teach, the brain. But most people, unless you're a neurosurgeon, are not going to get into so much of the brain jargon. This video explains it, so please take a look at it. I'm going to give you the shirt.
I'm sorry, Teri.
Go ahead.
I was just going to add in, it's a 6-minute video, so it's very succinct and it just gets to the key points that gives you enough information to help comprehend some of what's really truly going on within your brain.
That's right. So in the brain, there's the amygdala, and maybe some of you have heard about that. And the amygdala, it will start the survival brain when something is coming at you. It will tell you to fight, flight, to fly, flee, to freeze, or to fawn. The video will explain those a little bit more. They get you going. It's the survival brain. Now, when the survival brain kicks in, right here, the emotional brain also kicks in. And we go right into that emotional piece. And there's, again, you're going to hear Judy and I say this over and over. There's nothing wrong with emotions. They just are. However, when we're in the emotional part, we're not going to be in the thinking part. Example, in the video, they explain, if a bear's coming at you, you're not going to go into your smart brain and decide to pull out an algebraic expression. It's
Right.
not going to save you then. Okay, you've got to run. So again, the survival brain tells you alert, and the emotional brain
Danger.
goes, whoa, I got to do something. And the smart brain shuts down. So this is the important piece. If you have children at home and they study so hard for a test and they come home from that and they say, I flunked it. Well, of course, we're going to say, no, don't worry about it. I'm sure it's fine. All those things that will stop communication because we're trying to help our child. However, if you realize what happens in the brain, you can help your child, because you can talk about, did you get nervous? Tell me about it. Did you go into the did your emotions stop you? Because you know what? Maybe your child studied like crazy and then froze when they walked into the room, being a test, a regular test or an ACT or whatever, they freeze. And when that you freeze, we tell kids, Judy and I do, your smart brain goes offline. They understand that just like computers. And so it doesn't matter that you had all those biological formulas in your brain and you had them memorized. If you don't have some techniques to deep breathe and to go out of that emotional brain, you will not remember what you learned. And that's what's one of the important things about looking at this video and actually helping you realize that someone in your life or you are anxious and you stay in that anxious stage, if you don't have the keys to come out of that emotional brain, you will go offline. Okay. You know what? I'm going to back up. Anybody have a question about don't ask me any real technical brain questions, but anybody have any questions that you want to ask us about the survival brain, smart brain, or emotional brain?
Again, the link to the video, if you could either take a screenshot of it, or it's in the chat. We attached the link to the video.
Okay, I counted to 5. I want to tell you that I looked on, and Judy and I looked on the internet to find a video that wasn't so kid oriented, but this is the best one we found. So I hope you take the time.
Yeah.
Okay, trauma. After a traumatic experience, the human system, out of self-preservation, goes into permanent alert. Now, again, go back to defining. Trauma is an emotional response in the brain. It can happen because you went through something like an accident, a natural disaster, a death, but it can be something like bullying too. So when your kids in school are being bullied, they're actually going through trauma. And when you're going through trauma, you do have flashbacks. And what happens is you always are looking over your shoulders, always in fear. If you have a traumatic experience and it happens once, it's acute. If it's chronic, it's chronic if it repeats over and over. If you're being bullied all the time, if you have some kind of emotional, somebody's beating on you in an emotional way, not physically, even psychologically, those moments will keep you on alert. So what happens when you're on alert? Your thinking brain goes offline. Anybody want to put in the chat or comment about trauma? Maybe something you've gone through that you're comfortable enough to share, or something you just learned about trauma. Yes, you have your hand up. I think it's Tank. I'm not sure. Okay, Tank,
Yes, me.
please share.
So I know a lot about trauma and PTSD, anxiety, depression, and even right now, when I talk about it, or when I'm in groups that are new to me, I get anxious and I really can't sit still. So like I'll move from room to room. But my bathroom, which what I'm in right now, is my safe space. And I have taught my family to, when I come in here, just let me stay in here. Sometimes I've been
Wow.
in here for like hours, but it's where I feel I can come where there's nobody around. So if I am emotional, if I'm angry, if I'm sad, I can come in here, and I try to put little affirmations on my mirror to read them. But sometimes, like you say,
Wow.
that brain, it leaves. So sometimes I'm too agitated to even read those affirmations, but just sitting here by myself gives me time to let what we call them episodes pass
Pass.
until, yes, and let it pass on its own. um, which is better than when I'm out with my family and I feel like they're watching me and they're judging me and what's wrong. And here I don't feel any judgment. So that is one of the things that I do try, and that works for me, because I
Wow.
notice talking to different counselors, they kind of give me cookie cutter solutions on how to handle anxiety. And I tell them, I joke with them, I say, just like my name, I'm unique. So you can't give me cookie cutter answers. You have to tailor it to me. And only way you can do that is you have to get to know me. So I had to figure something else out, and I'll use my bathroom and my car because I
Good for
love my
you.
car. So I'll use my car as a safe space, because I don't have a poker face. So when something is wrong with me, everyone knows. And I feel so bad because as a mom, as a wife, my attitude kind of dictates the house attitude. And that puts a lot of stress on me. So when I'm not feeling, 100% all there, then I come into my safe space, and
Good
try
for
to get
you.
myself together.
Good. You know what, Tink?
Hmm.
You've done a lot of work. You've done a lot of work, and you've found your own keys that work for you. And I just want to tell you, this is how Judy and I, we go way back in our friendship. But we've gone through, we don't, it's not our story, but right now we've gone through a lot with COVID together, and we were there for each other. And then we realized, you know what? I love what you said, Tink, about cookie cutters, because you know what? Not everything works all the time for everyone. And not
Absolutely.
everyone, yeah. And we need to stop feeling guilty. Later on in the presentation, I'm going to talk about a aha I had this morning. And so those things are very important, to be gentle on ourselves, find our own way, take somebody else's keys, work on them, and know that when you feel like yuck, you feel like yuck. So find your own.
I want to also jump in for a minute. Tink, I just want to say to you that even just speaking up and saying that right now, that takes a lot of courage.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
I'm leaving in about 30 minutes or 45 minutes. I'm just listening to the Zoom.
yeah, it takes a lot of courage to just share what you said, Tink,
Yeah.
and that I feel like you should really commend yourself. We're going to talk about how hard we are on ourselves also, but I see you have a self-awareness, and the fact that you know that you have a safe place to go and that you could able to communicate that with your family, like those are huge steps.
Big steps. Big
Yeah,
steps.
I feel like
Well, this is what you guys are seeing, and what I'm sharing with you is kind of the end of
a
a
journey.
long episode. No, a long episode triggered by the death of my grandmother. So it's been 2
The
years,
trauma. Yeah.
and it's taken 2 years for me to get to this place, because she was my everything. So
She was your rock.
when she got taken, or when she passed, I didn't know how to handle that, and I backslid. So my PTSD and all of that was under control 20 years.
Wow.
Well, you'll
Passed.
hear it.
I completely slipped back. So it's taken a long time to get to where I am,
Good
but
for you.
I just
Good for
couldn't
you.
stay in a state where I was because it was not healthy for
Yeah.
me or for my family.
Yes, and what's important that we all know is that we do backslide, and it's getting back on. Brenda, I couldn't tell if you had your hand up or were you waving to somebody in your house, or did you have something you want to join in?
I was waving.
Oh, you were waving? Okay.
No.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I couldn't tell. Okay. Thank you for sharing. If you are not muted, your sound's coming through, so make sure you mute yourself, please. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to spend a few minutes talking about loneliness, not so much feeling alone, but loneliness. There's a hunger and a thirst that we have when we have something missing, and that's loneliness. I love to talk about continuums because nobody is ever here or here. They move along and then they backslide, like Tink said, and then keep going forward. And so on the continuum, you might, it's what you want in your relationships and what you actually have. And if that gap isn't that far, then you don't feel as lonely. But if the gap in your expectation is to have more and more friends or more interactions with different relationships, then you're going to feel that loneliness. In small doses, loneliness is, again, like a hunger and a thirst. It's a healthy signal that you're missing something, and it's okay. And you know what? It's important to feel comfortable being alone. There's a difference there than feeling alone or feeling loneliness. So I'm going to open it up for anybody who wants to jump in. And what have you learned from the traumatic slide and from the loneliness few minutes that we took? Remember, this is just an awareness because we're only meeting with you an hour tonight. Anybody want to jump in? You know, I'm going to count to 5.
I know how to be alone. Like I was an only child for a long time, so I learned how to be alone and be okay with that. I think now I do feel lonely a lot.
So you're on the continuum, you would rather not feel as lonely as you do, correct? Or
Right.
am I reading it wrong? Okay, just wanted to make sure I understood you. It's
And
hard.
I think I just feel that way because my grandmother's is not here.
Yep.
And that makes me feel lonely.
Understandable.
Yep. And Judy knows what I love, that you're getting a little bit choked up. She knows, not that I love you getting choked up, but that Judy knows how much I value tears, because sometimes, you know, my favorite quote, they are there to wash our eyes so we can see things clearer, rather than I shouldn't be crying, I'm weak. No, it just helps us see things more clearly. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Judy, who's going to tell us about what we listened to.
Self-talk. Yes, approximately 90% of what humans say to themselves is unconscious and automatic. So do not replace the negative self-talk with Pollyannish untruths. Rather, edit and reframe the thoughts based on how you choose to be and what you want to create. So what you do is you change the negative self-talk and you reframe it. This is a key that is one of my favorite keys. We are all human. Every one of us experiences stress or anxiety. So I want to take a minute and just share something personal with you. I happen to be a worrier. I worry a lot. So as a key, I found a quote that resonated with me. And what I did was I took a picture of it I printed it out and I hung it on my fridge. Why my fridge? Because that happens to be a place that I frequent a lot. So the quote says, don't use your energy to worry, use your energy to believe. And I repeat this quote, sometimes aloud, sometimes in my head, over and over and over again, every time I pass it. Like 3 times I'll repeat it every time I pass it. This quote edits and reframes my thoughts, because if you listen to it again, it's just 2 sentences. Don't use your energy to worry, use your energy to believe. It's reframing, use your energy to believe. So the way you speak to yourself, it matters. And the more that you say it and repeat it, the more it gets to the brain and attaches itself so that you start working on it in a positive way.
Judy, I'm going to jump in for a second because
Yes,
of something Tink said.
absolutely. Yes.
Tink, when you said you're in the bathroom and you put affirmations up, that's exactly what Judy's talking about.
Exactly.
Very powerful. Okay. Thank you, Judy, for letting me interrupt you.
Of course.
Okay, why can't I get the slide to go? Hold on, Judy. All right, there we go.
So gremlin voices, a lot of times you're going to hear these voices in your head. I'm always late. I'm terrible at remembering. I'm a lousy artist. I can't manage money. I'm always messing things up. I'm powerless. Life is a struggle. If I take a risk, I'll fail. I'm unimportant. And it just continues on and on. Even if you go all the way to the near the end, if I worry enough, will the problem go away? That's one of my little voices. Awfulism, Eeyore. The bottom there means, I don't know if anyone's ever read Winnie the Pooh, but Eeyore is a character in Winnie the Pooh who feels that everything is awful all the time. And he's convinced himself of this. So these are all examples of negative inner dialogue that goes on in your head. Your goal is to try to stop your brain from hearing these voices. How do you do that? Well, go ahead. Thank you,
Sorry about
Teri. How do you do that? You stand up to your bully. And this is such a powerful slide. I never thought I was a bully until I heard how I speak to myself. I think I owe myself an apology. We tend to be harder on ourselves than we would be on others. And we shouldn't be.
So one of the things that we spend a lot of time in our workshops, Judy and I do, is voices. Not voices like there's something seriously wrong with you, you hear people talk to you, not those kinds of voices. The voices in our head. And I have learned to accept the fact that everybody has voices. I really believe that everybody has voices that tell them what the gremlin voices that Judy talked about a few minutes ago. And you're right, we need to learn how to work with the voices. In fact, you're going to laugh, but I named my voice because she talks to me all the time. She's right here. And I call her Teri Yaki. She never shuts up. Okay, she's always talking to me. And sometimes she gives me good advice, and sometimes I tell her to shut up. I don't want her good advice. But she's always talking to me in some form. Now, we've learned, I have learned that in some workshops, and we always say, tell your voice to shut up, ignore the voice, replace it with something else, replace it with something positive. Sure, those are important things to do, but there's something else that's really important. Taming Your Gremlin is a book that I found ages ago and shared it with Judy. And it's a book that has stood the test of time. It's been around for years, new editions, etc. And the gremlin are the voices in our heads. And that in the book, not only does it talk about the things that Judy and I have just mentioned, but it also talks about what can you learn from your gremlin. Carl Jung, a famous psychologist, personified I have a great quote about depression. And he said, instead of fighting with if you're depressed or feeling anxious or whatever, personify that person, give it a human characteristic, pretend that depression now has a name. Well, when I'm feeling down, I call my depressive side Gertrude. See, I name things all the time. And according to Carl Jung, have Gertrude sit next to you, invite her in your home, just like you're pretending it's a person. Now, I wouldn't do that in front of other people. I do what Tinkwa does and go in the bathroom and talk to your voices and find out, what can you learn from them? What are they saying to you? Maybe the angry voice is angry for a reason, and maybe you can learn from them instead of telling them to shut up. Are you like this in every situation? Are you good for me to listen to? Ask that voice. Did I choose this belief on my own? This is really important. Or did I get that planted in my head by somebody else? Someone in a work situation that was bullying you. Or, I hate to say this, someone in your childhood. So you need to ask yourself, where did that voice come from? Or did you create that voice? And what will you decide to do with that voice? That's important. Very important for you to take control of the voice. Don't always fight with them. Don't always tell them they're bad. Talk to them, use them to get better.
Feelings just are, no judgment. Sometimes you just need to sit quietly and listen to your feelings. They're not good, they're not bad, they just are. And it's okay to sit with them. So, time for a quote on centering, breathing. Things are never as good or as bad as they seem. Centering yourself and your thoughts is another great key. This is a key that you could use anywhere at any time. It's not something that you have to be in a specific place for, or that you need a lot of other, things, like literally things to have in order to, you don't need a picture on a wall, you don't need something on your fridge. It's just your breath. And you could use your breath to center yourself in so many situations, and you could use it in front of other people where they don't even know that that's what you're doing. While they're talking away, you could be practicing your breathing. You can center yourself, and it will help you to center your thoughts. Teri and I, again, we have other sessions, and in those longer sessions, we discuss and go through with our groups the breathing techniques. There are many different breathing techniques, and there's yoga and meditation and self-affirmations, and all those are more tools. So there's a lot to be used in order to help you deal with stress and with anxiety. This slide is so important. I love this slide. 3 things to ask yourself before you say anything. Number 1, does this need to be said? Number 2, does this need to be said by me? And number 3, does this need to be said by me now? So many times you need to take care of boxes 1 and 2, but you could wait to take care of box number 3 until you regroup, gather yourself, organize your thoughts, and approach the issue with calm. So one day at work, something happened to me that got me quite angry, actually. And this key immediately came to my mind. I knew that, yes, box number 1, this was something that needed to be said, needed to be told to my boss. And yes, to box number 2, it needed to be said by me. It needed to come from me. But wait, no, box number 3, it did not need to be said now. It did not need to be said while I was so upset and angry and in the heat of the moment. So while I was using this key, I actually used another key, which we're going to get to soon, which is call a friend. And I actually called my spouse and I vented to him. And I was, very heated while I was venting to him. But he listened, and then we hung up. And then later on, I sat down calmly, and this is like hours later, and I wrote out specifically all my points. And the following day, I met with my boss, and I was calm, I was organized, I was focused, and that's when it needed to be said by me. It didn't need to be said now when I was in the moment. So this is a key that has really helped me. Hopefully will help you guys as well. So here are some thoughts that stop us. When you start thinking, I have to have everything figured out before I begin, the whole idea seems too big. I get overwhelmed thinking about all the details. I don't want to make a mistake, so it's better to do nothing. This happens a lot with children who feel like their parents put certain stresses on them. So they'd rather not even take on a sport if they're not going to excel at it. And also other people know how to do it better than I do. Those are thoughts that may stop us. But then there are thoughts that help us. So here are some thoughts that will enable us to push through, so that you get rid of those thoughts that stop you and you bring in the thoughts that will help you. You take baby steps. Baby steps allows your brain to focus on one change at a time. And I love this. You don't go to the gym and plan to lift 300 pounds on the first day. That is not going to happen. So you have to start with baby steps. Your ego wants perfection. It wants a guarantee. So your ego is going to try to stop you from changing. But baby steps are easier. You'll be more successful when you take those baby steps. So if the baby step is a mistake, then what? Well, then you learn and you adjust. 1 step back, 2 steps forward. But it's not like you're trying to do 300 pounds on the first day. And baby steps are easier to work with when you have a partner. It's easier to get their feedback and to build that kind of support.
Those baby steps are very important. Thanks, Judy, because if not, we become overwhelmed. And what we need to do is stop thinking we can do it all. We have to change ourselves and be the perfect person, and we better do it now. No. In some of our future workshops that we hope to do with some of you, I hope, we talk about cognitive distortions.
And
I went
gonna jump in for a second. Holly Varda
Sure.
raised her hand. She wants to say something.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
please
Yes,
do.
please share.
Holly, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you for jumping in.
I am missing the exercises.
I can't hear as well. Can you, Judy?
Missing the exercises?
Yeah,
The point about the exercise?
Ask it a different way, Holly, because we're not either you're breaking up or we're not getting it. And we want to make sure that we value your question or opinion. Ask it in a different way.
you are putting up those slides.
We're putting up
Slides?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
Can you see them?
and I am missing them.
You're
Oh, you
missing the
can't see the
slides. You can't
slides?
see the slides.
No. It's
Kelly, can
someone-
you help here? Because I don't know what would be causing that. And I feel badly because Holly's missed, it'll be in the, on the website, but it's important for her to see them now.
Holly, did you call in or are you viewing this on your computer or your phone, on a smartphone?
a smartphone.
Okay. I'm not sure what's going on. I will say we are recording this. So we're going to put it up on YouTube and all the slides will be up there. In the meantime, we'll maybe try to describe the slides a little bit more so you can understand better.
And if worse comes to worse, Kelly, we can get Holly's email and you probably have it. And I will personally send the slides to her.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. I'll write to Holly right now to get her email.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tink,
that
you
would
have
be
a question?
great.
Would that be helpful, Holly?
Yes.
Okay. Tink, did you have a question? You have to unmute. Can't hear you. Thank you.
Okay. So Holly was saying that she had a smartphone and I'm on my phone as well. But what I noticed is for me to see the slides, like right now, I see Holly, myself, and Teri in Southfield Library. But you have to swipe left and when I swipe left, I see the slides. When I keep swiping left, I see the other people in the meeting because I can't see everybody on one screen. So maybe she needs to swipe left or right
Yeah,
to see the slide.
Thank you.
I'm
Tink.
seeing
Okay.
them.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much for saving the day.
All right.
Way to go. Thanks.
Yes, thank you.
You're quite welcome, Holly. Tink. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
You're
Okay.
welcome.
good to know.
What really matters? Oh, I was telling you about all or nothing thinking, and Judy and I do some work with cognitive distortions. I worked with a psychologist once, and there are a number of cognitive distortions, and it's how we think and how we reframe what we say. And the best way I can explain that is to give you an example of what I have done in my past and what the psychologist said to me. I would come at night and say, everything went wrong today. Okay. And he taught me to say, don't say all, don't say everything, all or nothing thinking. Find a different way to say everything went wrong today. So then I would say to my husband, most things went wrong today. Some things went wrong today. A few things went wrong today. Now it depended on the day, but those some, few, most, even saying most things went wrong today, were telling me that some things went right. And so the cognitive distortions are a part of the voices that we hear in our head. And that would it takes a good half hour, 45 minutes to go through that. So we'd be happy to share that with you sometime. That changed my thinking for everybody that's here. And it had a major impact on how I say things, how I see the world, because nothing is perfect. The shoulds are there. They're always coming at us. And now I'm going to share that aha that I mentioned earlier that I had this morning. I'm checking the time. Okay, we have time. So when I have pain, I see pain like this. This is the pain. And when I get depressed about my pain, emotionally, that pain just sends me down, down, down. This is just, I made this up myself, by the way. No psychologist told me this. It just helps. I visualize it. Now, when I have pain and I stay emotionally above the pain, if the pain can't get me down, and I deal with it. Now, that's what I came up with in my head. Now, at the same time, now I've been using that with everything. I say, okay, I'm staying above the news. I'm staying above emotionally. I'm staying above the world falling apart. Okay, I'm staying above. And you know what? This morning, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted staying above everything. And you know what I learned? I told myself, you can't do that. Stop being Pollyanna. You cannot stay above everything. Sometimes you just have to say, you know what? I feel like crap. Excuse me. I feel yucky today. Sorry about that. And I just feel it. So that's what staying, being good, being easy on yourself. And I have a dear friend, not Judy, that always says, well, let's be positive. I'll be positive. I want to choke her sometimes. Just say, I can't always be positive. I can't always stay up here. You know what? And it's okay not to be up here all the time. Forgive yourself. This is hard work. Life is hard work. And you have to have a friend. You have to have a partner. You have to have somebody that you can just say, I feel terrible today. And this is really hard. Which leads me to the last part here about asking yourself, what is your true intention? If you're going to climb a mountain and that's your goal, and there's lightning and thunder and it's not going to work and you're not going to climb that mountain and you have to stop, ask yourself, what is the intention? Was the intention to climb the mountain? That's your goal, not your intention. Your intention might have been to just enjoy nature. And when you see the difference between a goal and an intention, that brings more peace to you. And so ask yourself, what is your true intention? And when you go to say something to someone, like Judy, go back to that slide about having to maybe not say it then. Ask yourself, I'm going to breathe. and say, why am I going to say this? Is it to control the person? Is it to make them feel bad? Or is it that I want to fix the relationship? Take a breath and ask yourself that, and you'll be amazed. Anybody want to comment? Do we have time? Yes, we do. Anybody want to comment on being good, my aha, and being easy on yourself and not beating yourself up?
I am my own worst enemy. I stand in my own way and I put pressure on myself that is probably not necessary, but it started from a young age. And my grandmother would say, when you're good at something, you always get more work, like if you're good at what you do. And I'm just good at solving other people's problems. They come to me and I can help them. And I can't help myself. So when I can't help myself, then I'm like, I failed because I'm able to help everybody else, but I can't do the same for myself. So I have to learn that, one, I have to stop putting pressure on myself. And two, it's okay to fail, because that teaches me that when I fail, I know what it looks like to succeed. So like when I think about what my issues, I would say that, I am completely messed up. If people had a warning sign, mine would be red, or the scarlet letter. I used to talk negative about myself like that because that's how I view myself. And it wasn't because a low self-esteem. It was just because I felt like I could do better and I was not doing better. I was not getting better. And then, like you said, you needed to talk to somebody, and I wasn't talking to anyone. So nobody knew what I was going through because I'm very good at hiding it, and saying I'm okay. There's a commercial out that I don't like, and it's talking about people with depression. And then it's talking about the people who respond to it. And they say things like, oh, it'll be okay. Oh, it's just in your head.
Like we said earlier.
Yes, and it's a commercial, and I'm like, those are all the wrong answers. But
Yes.
I had to learn to start talking to people because the person
It
who I
helps,
talked to
doesn't
was
it?
my grandmother. It does help, but in the same token, I was talking to my spouse, but I had to communicate with him. Like sometimes I just need to vent because my husband is the type who wants to solve the problem and fix
Fix it.
everything. And
Yep.
I told him, baby, you can't fix PTSD and you can't fix
No, you can't fix it.
anxiety. You can't fix me. I have to fix myself. So when I do need to vent to him, I have to say, I just want you to listen. And when I want him to respond, I have
There's
to say,
another key.
I want you to give me some suggestions, or I want to hear your opinion. But that is absolutely true that I know for me, I stand in my own way. And when I move out the way and just do it, things progress. So I just got to kind of remember that when I'm feeling so anxious, like stop beating myself up for what? Like I'm human, I'm allowed to make mistakes. I teach my son that you're allowed to make mistakes, but yet, I'm a hypocrite because then I come down hard on my own self. So
That's right.
it takes work, but you are absolutely correct that we do that.
And I'm going to ask you to take a look at this quote. And if you don't want to do this, just tell me no. But I would like to read it out loud. Go easy.
Okay. Go easy on yourself. You're doing great. This is just really hard.
Okay. And hold that in your mind. And one thing that I used to do with teachers, Judy may or may not know this, when somebody would come in and be really angry, do this with your kids too. And I'd say, okay, wait, before you start, what do you need from me? Do you want me just to listen? Do you want me to help you problem solve? Or do you want me to fix it? Almost 85, 90% of the time, I just want you to listen. So that's it. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
And I just want to
Okay.
when Tink was talking, Rose chimed in on the chat and said, oh my gosh, we are on the same page. And then Tony said that we men usually want to, in quotations, fix things.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Kelly.
And
I'm
it's
so
really
glad you're
sweet,
monitoring the
really
chat.
sweet.
Yep.
I love it. It's just that some things you can't fix a person. A person has to want to fix themselves. Like they say, recovery is for people that want it, not for people who need it.
Mm.
It's the same with people who have disability. I don't want to say disabilities, just that we're not perfect. So, I had to want to get better. And then as I started getting better, like even now, he's like, I'm proud of you for attending this meeting. You know what I'm
Good.
saying? So he can
Yep.
see that I am working on myself, because I don't want to put that pressure on him that he got to try to fix me when I know you can't fix another human being.
No, you can't. Thank you.
And then I
Okay.
just want to, Holly just came in and she said, the main thing is that you don't quit. You don't.
That's
quit.
it. Thank you, Holly. That's exactly what Judy said at the beginning. Thank you so much. Don't quit. That's the only key that,
Keep searching.
yes. So you're going to do some thinking now. And there are things that you probably want to stop doing. There may be things you want to start doing from tonight's session, or comments, or something you, like I had an aha. Or you know what? Some of you, maybe all of you, are probably doing a lot of good stuff, trying to overcome anxiety, trying to deal with stress. So continue doing those. So I want you right now for the next, yep, we're going to do it. I'm always checking the time. I want you for about 2 minutes to think of a plan that'll make tonight's workshop really, really valuable. This is what I want you to do. Think about, if you have paper and pencil, jot it down. What behaviors do you want to eliminate? At least name one behavior. Either write it down or think about it. What key do you want to try? Judy talked about a lot of keys. Think about what is one new thing you want to try. What does work for you? What stops you from growing? And what's your first baby step that you're going to do? For example, if you are nervous when you have to go and speak at an event, then maybe you want to use positive self-talk. You want to use the breath. You want to take baby steps. I want you to just take about 2 minutes in silence and think about, what are you really going to work on? What keys will help you? What works for you so far? What do you want to stop? What's the first baby step? You have 2 minutes, and then at the end, I'm going to give you time to share some of that. So, ready? Think. Okay, time's up. If you're finishing writing or finishing thinking, I'm going to take you through the next few slides very quickly. You don't want to listen? I'm sorry?
People put some great ideas in the
Oh,
chat.
good. Okay, please share them, Kelly.
Yeah. Tony said that sometimes you have to say things out loud so you can work through it.
Good.
And then Lisa said to use breathing techniques. And when she's nervous, she takes her time breathing and thinks positive.
Thank you. Great.
And then Rose said that trying baby steps and not to complete all the tasks at once.
Terrific. Terrific. Thank you. And Kelly, I was trying to get a message to you, but we're going to probably stop at 7:33. If somebody has to go, they have to go. But
Yeah, we're
I'd like
just
to get
about
to
done.
Yeah, we're just about finished.
Oh.
Yeah, so I
Okay,
just want to
Judy.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Teri. I just want to leave you with a few more keys that we didn't discuss that are still very important that I want to just quickly run through. So the first one is to stay in your time zone, stay present. Don't panic about the future and what's going to happen and what's this and, you know, what about this, or what if this took place, or what if that happens? Relabel what's truly happening, because a lot of times we over exaggerate it in our minds. So relabel it to what it really is. Fact check your thoughts. Don't lie, don't over explain, don't make excuses, just simply decline. If somebody asks you to make a meal and you're so stressed from all your responsibilities at work, you don't have to over explain it. You don't have to lie that you're not, you know, that you're going to be somewhere else. Just simply, nope, you know, I can't. And that way, it's because if you say yes to everything, it's extra stress on you. And close your eyes and breathe. This is one thing I wanted to review, was following the 3-3-6 breathing. And I think it was Lisa who just a minute ago talked about how the breathing helps her. It's so effective. There's a lot of different breathing techniques, but this one is really quick. You breathe in for 3 seconds.
Can I say something? It's because I had a counsellor for mind, which is breathing space, and they
Right.
taught me a lot of breathing techniques to do with anxiety.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's exactly right. So you breathe in for 3 seconds, you hold it for 3 seconds, and then you let your breath out for 6 seconds. So it's 3, 3, 6. And you can all do that anywhere, anytime. What it does is it immediately slows down your heartbeat and it calms you down. Other things, last minute additional keys, is to understand the other person's perspective and then disagree. Instead of right away hearing them talking and like getting all upset and angry, just try to listen before you immediately disagree. Do something, anything, just do something. Ask for a second opinion. Call a friend, which I had told you I had done before when I called my husband during that situation when I was overheated. And also humor, watch something funny. Humor is so important. Watch a comedy, listen to something with your headphones, tell a joke. Just remember to laugh. Laugh is a great de-stressor. So there are other keys also that we didn't even list, like play with your pet, spend 10 minutes outdoors, music is great, journaling is great. If you have a hobby, you know, go to your hobby for 20 minutes. The goal is for you to start using some of these keys and tools that you yourself respond to most. Not to use all of them, pick the ones that work for you and ingrate them into the neurons in your brain through repetition. And then they will begin to become habit.
Thank you, Judy. Judy just left you with more keys to review. Very quickly, I'm just going to leave you, both of us are going to leave you with something to think about. We both love this colorful wheel, and it really is foundations for self-love. You have to love yourself to be able, like on the plane, they say, put your oxygen mask on first before you help someone else. You have to love yourself and you have to take care of yourself before you can really take care of anyone else. Please take the time to see what, when you return to the website, please take this time to look at what really makes mental health, self-acceptance, etc. There's some good things on this, something for you to think about, something for you to ponder. Found this the other day. Two researchers, Leahy and Keegan, said, behind every complaint lies a commitment. I had to really think about this, and I still am having it germinate in my brain. So we thought we would leave this with you, something to ponder. Maybe there is, maybe we get angry and we complain because whatever we're complaining about does mean so much. Something for you to go back and think about, but not tonight. And now, if there is a minute or two, is there anyone? First of all, I want to thank everybody that has participated, and that if you just listen, that's fine, as long as you got something out of it. But I really appreciate you throwing things in the chat and unmuting yourself. So what have you? I want you to think about the plan you made a few slides back. And Judy and I would like to know, what learning impacted you the most? Throw it in the chat. What key will you consider using? You might consider using a lot, but just name one. And what do you still need to learn? Would you please start throwing some of those answers in the chat, because we're running out of time, so I don't think we'll be able to call on anybody. And Kelly, if you see anybody writing, could you
We
read
do
it out
have a
loud?
question in the chat, and
Okay.
Rose has said that she needs a support group in the area, and she was wondering if you guys had any suggestions for her.
Not off the top of my
Yeah,
head,
I don't know any.
but
offhand.
if I make I can find out. Maybe I won't promise anything if I can't. A support group, and maybe you can give Rose my email, and we can go back and forth.
Okay, and then
I'd be
Tony-
happy with that.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tony has said that he has found some groups on Meetup, so that's a great suggestion. And then I tossed
great.
the chat to email adultref@southfieldlibrary.org, which goes to our librarians, and that we'd be happy
Perfect.
to help find some too.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
And then as for techniques, we have Natasha put that she is going to use more of the deep breathing exercises. Tink's going to learn not to be so hard on herself, and I commend all those. Holly has learned how to handle trauma. Lisa's
Wow.
going to try to stay positive. So these are some wonderful comments that are coming in.
Good.
On the chat.
Good. So we're going to wrap it up by saying, Judy and I, the next slides are going to go fast, so you're not even going to have time to read them. Judy and I are available for workshops, and we're going to show you what those are, and they'll be on the website. And Judy and I also do things on our own, off by own. She does tutoring. I do one-on-one workshops. And here are some of the workshops we do, and I'm not going to read them. They're going to be on the website. And these workshops can be done, have to be done more than an hour. So if you have a group that you want to get together and talk about conflict management, we can do 2 nights, we can do a day, we can do a half a day. So it's going to be on the website. And I want to use to let you know that if you really are feeling severe anxiety, severe stress, Judy and I are not therapists. We have learned a lot on our own and working with kids, etc. So if you need help, you need some, and in your severe depression or very in a bad situation, you need to get help by a professional. And so we always put that on there. And I'm going to go backwards to the beginning, because I don't know how to do it any other way, and tell you that we'd like to thank everybody that participated. We hope it sounds like many of you learned some things. We thank you for joining in. Kelly, we want to thank you so much for organizing this, and also thank the Friends of the Southfield Library, because Judy and I have a feeling we both really enjoyed working with you, and we hope to see you again. And if there's anybody that has any questions, how did we do on time? Oh boy, we cheated. 7:39. Sorry.
But it was great. We're so
coming.
happy to have your participation, and thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be around for a few seconds. If you want to
Yes.
sign off, thanks for coming. If you want to ask some questions, we'll be here for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you. That was wonderful.
Have a good evening,
Thank you.
everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, I'm gonna
I think
stop
this is
sharing my
great.
screen. Pardon me.
I think this was great.
Oh, thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And I have found that when I battle with myself on what I should do, I just should stop and just do it. Just like when you're scared, do it anyways. You know,
Work through
so
the fear.
yeah, right. Like
Yeah.
push through the pain, mom. That's what my son would say. Push through the pain. So like work through your fear. So I think this was really good.
I'm
I
glad.
It
think
wasn't
really
cookie
helpful for
cutter, was it?
It was
Okay.
not, because
Okay.
everyone
Right.
is different, you know, so
Fantastic.
everyone that has to kind of find their own path,
Mhm.
and sometimes it doesn't work. That's why I say it's taken me 2 years, because I've tried so many things that didn't work, and you know, you want to give up and you're like, okay, it's just not working. Maybe it's just not meant for me, but something in me keeps me going. And I think that's because I want my son to see my actions and not always hear what I say, because that's what he sees. So I want him to see that, yeah, maybe my mom is not perfect, and maybe my mom is sadder than most moms, but she keeps going, you know, and I want him to see
That's a
that
good
I will
message.
never quit, because I don't want to be a quitter. You know, I can't tell him not to be a quitter and then I give up. That will make me a hypocrite, you know, and I can't do that. I'm a Libra. It will sit on my conscience forever. And I'll be like, I can't handle that. So, you know,
Mhm.
this is really good. And I hope you guys have another session. I will be more than happy to attend it.
That'd
Okay.
be great.
Somebody asked for our email, and I'd be happy, but it's not in the chat. So if you still need the email, just reach out to Kelly, and Kelly, you're more than welcome to give my email out.
Okay. And I'm
I
gonna
don't
put
know who
my
asked
email in the chat right now. So
Okay. Anybody else have a comment or a question or?
okay. Holly, I got your email, so I'll send you the slides.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. And if we can come up with the number of support groups, it'd be great to get back to. Sounds like you have a few, Kelly.
Well, I don't, but that's what librarians do. We research.
Okay, all right.
We don't
You
have to know
probably
the
will know
answers.
more than
We
me.
just know where to look for the answers.
Good. All right, anybody else have a question or?
I'll just try it. Holly put in the chat to think, don't quit, don't quit on your family, and don't you quit. And Rose, you're in Texas? Okay, that's good to know.
Wow, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
I
Thank
just,
you, Rose.
this is Holly. I just got in the chat. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Oh, I was just really love to have a written copy of the slides. Is there any way I can get that? You know,
Yes.
so that I would have okay, how would I do that?
Well, I'm gonna send a PDF to, that means nobody can change and work on them. And to Kelly, and then Kelly, whatever works for you. You said earlier you're gonna send it to Holly.
Yep, Holly, you put your email down in the chat. I've got that, and I
Okay.
will send you the slides probably tomorrow morning.
Well, there's two Hollies. Do you have both Hollies?
I have Holly Varnum's.
Okay, no, I'm Holly Sage.
Okay, what's your, Holly, do you mind telling me what your email is? I'm gonna write it down right here.
No, okay. It's exactly what it says there, HOLLYSAJ at Comcast.net.
Oh, that's easy.
I've got it down.
Oh, thank you so much.
And Tink,
You're welcome.
I got yours here.
It really helps me to have something I can read in front, paper copies of things.
Oh, somebody's in the waiting room.
Oh, yep.
I
They
think she
muted
missed it.
themselves out. Yeah.
Okay. I think she missed it.
Thank you, ladies, for doing
You're
this.
welcome.
And I agree, it would be wonderful to have a support group, a non-judgmental, safe place to speak.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. You know, Thank you. Oh, thank you, Rose. I've got yours. Email here.
Clarice, thanks for joining us. Lois, thanks for being with us. I think we thanked everybody. Rose, Holly, Tink. Yep, I think we thanked everybody.
And thank you,
You're welcome.
both of you.
Yeah, our pleasure.
We love doing these.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Good
All right.
night.
Good night.
Bye.
Thanks, Kelly. Everybody's signing off. Okay, it's just the three of us. Oh, the three of us.
There we go. Now it's the three of us.
That was the three of us.
That hadn't signed out. I was signing them out. So
Yeah.
Okay.
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 it went
All right.
wonderfully. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for everything, Kelly. It
Yeah,
was
so much.
helpful.
And I think it was like the perfect amount. We had about 30 people. Some came in, some came out, but it was,
Yeah.
it was enough that everybody got their personalized chance to chime in if they wanted to.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And you
It's
were
good when
really
it-
helpful. I'm sorry, Judy. Go ahead.
Yeah, the chat, you working the chat was great. And it's always
Yeah.
easier as a presenter when you have people that are volunteering and speaking and it's not like silence.
yeah.
So it was good that they were willing to share.
Yeah. I was really pleased.
Yeah,
And thank you, Kelly. And
Yep.
Judy, how'd you feel about it? I felt really,
I felt good. Yeah.
I thought it was only 3 more minutes. I have
I
no
know.
concept.
No
of-
worries.
We did go over, sorry.
The library doesn't close for another 13 minutes, so it's perfect.
Okay, but I was trying, so I kept clicking, oh, we got lots of time. We got lots of
Yeah.
time. So the more time we had, the more I talked.
Yes, yes.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, we have plenty to fill. So yeah.
All right. Well, thanks.
Thank you. And yeah, Terry, if you could send me your slides and I'll pass it along to the 4 people who I have their emails.
Okay, I'll do that tomorrow
Fantastic.
morning.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Judy. I'll be
Thank
talking to
you,
you.
Terry. All right, we'll be in touch, Kelly. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, good night.